Now I'm very excited to welcome back an amazing sports bettor and great friend of the show, Mr. Brian Edwards from Major Wager and Vegas Insider. You can follow Brian on Twitter or X at egasBEdwards. Brian, here we are. What a weekend of college football that we just endured. How the heck you doing?
Doing well, doing well. Enjoyed the weekend. I had Iowa State in week 0 and then was off to a good start Thursday. A little hairy toward the end, but Miami of Ohio got there against your alma mater, and Buffalo got there. But then Friday,
Barely.
I lost UNLV game over. It barely stayed under, but it was looking under after getting off to a good start. And then Saturday, Toledo was a little hairy too, but all three of my Mac dogs got there for me. And
Toledo fought their way back into that thing at
they
the very
did.
end for you.
They
Backdoored it.
Yeah, they did backdoor it nicely with about a minute and a half. And but I had some L's. Oh God, under 52 on the Vols was dead early third quarter. That was a terrible pick. I personally added the Vols and Georgia Tech, but I didn't have them on my Vegas Insider picks, unfortunately. And
I
that well,
actually
I'm,
took Georgia Tech personal too. I missed the
yeah.
number and didn't want to send it out as a play past three, and then fucking they
Friday we got it
cover.
at clean 3. I was like, oh God,
Yeah,
hell yeah.
yeah, of course, of course. I put them together with Utah State, and that worked out well too. At like plus 135, some money line, but a little money line parlay action. But of course, that was the one I gave out because I got my ass kicked, and it's good to reflect, because sometimes you have a good week one, sometimes you don't. I feel like I bought into too much beat writer stuff, and maybe and even some very trustworthy sources were way off. I mean, I got a lot of stuff wrong. I was wrong on Baylor and Auburn, clearly. I was wrong on Northwestern. The boy, that line, I had hell of a line value on Northwestern and UCLA, and they just got beat up in the trenches. Tulane has a brand new offensive line, and that's what you do to freaking Northwestern. That's pathetic, Big Ten. Uh, I was wrong about Alabama, but I had them at minus 12 and a half. I took them in July, and I considered a buyback at 14 and a half, but I didn't do it. And freaking all the news you heard on Ty Simpson from all the freaking pundits out there was absolutely bullshit. And but here's another thing. Sometimes kids look great in practice, but they're just not gamers. But I should have sniffed out that nobody wanted Ty Simpson. He's just been sitting there, and all of a sudden he's good. I'm supposed to believe that. So I feel like a little sucker in that one. I was happy I got LSU Clemson right. I wish they played two separate games so I would have won two bets instead of one. But them Tigers from LSU, which now I have to call the real Death Valley, my friend,
Right.
it really took care of business.
Yeah, they did, and I finally remembered a couple I got wrong. Well, and another winner. I had South Carolina for winner, but I lost the Lenore Sellers rushing yards prop. I should have just done anytime touchdown instead. And
Yeah.
I never ever back, and I usually fade quarterbacks making their first career road start, but I took into account the enormous head coaching advantage and the fact that the quarterback position was their only question mark, and just ignorantly at the last minute took Notre Dame, which I was not going to do all summer, but then I
Of
just
course, but
decided to, and
yeah.
yeah, it didn't go well.
Yeah, I had the under on a bad number, and then I took it again at 51 and a half personally, but I, gave out the bad number at 50 or whatever it was, 49 and a half. I can't remember. Really should have went under, but Cristobal, on us. That game was running under the whole freaking time. And then all of a sudden ties up at 24. I was hoping they'd go for two. It's like, come on, man. But no, that they and that would have been the wrong call. It was too much time in the game. They did the right thing by kicking the extra point and tanking my under. But it's just
Speaking of going for two, what the hell was Shane Beamer doing not going for two when they took a 12-point lead and then he kicked an extra point to make it 24-11 with like 5 or 6 minutes left? I mean, come on, quit telling on yourself. Next time you start
yeah.
talking, I'm gonna adjust this blind so the sun is not.
Oh, for sure.
Go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely.
Keep
Yeah,
going then.
yeah. Yeah. I mean, Beamer makes some stupid mistakes, and we've seen that many times. He beats his alma mater or his dad's, obviously where he coached forever. And I got to tell you, Lenore Sellers look good. and he's a big man. You watch that guy behind center; he looks bigger than his offensive lineman, except obviously less fat on his body and just a big tree trunk of a dude. And I was pretty impressed with their defense. I know Kyron Drones isn't the greatest quarterback that he went against for Virginia Tech, but I was pleasantly surprised that South Carolina. South Carolina got a lot of hate from a lot of people from losing all those guys to the NFL draft. So I was pretty impressed by that game, and it was a nice way to kick off Sunday. Before the Notre Dame game, it was fun watching that, and I almost live bet them, but the way I was tracking Brian, if I took that -4.5 live bet, I feel like they would have lost. It's just one of those bad weeks for myself. But then you come into these overreactions, coming from week one. It's funny. I'll give you one of my overreactions. I don't think Florida State is nearly as good as what people think. Putting them in the top 10 because they beat a freaking a terrible, bad coached Alabama team. I love that thing. Following legends are to the no 1,000%. Yeah. Sorry, buddy. Following Nick Saban is not exactly going to give you any great credit if you keep winning, right? But that's
he's the Ron Zook. He's the Ron Zook of Alabama, comping it with Florida.
Absolutely. Kalen DeBoer is just not getting it done. And I'm just not sure I'm not that sure Alabama's that good. The problem with Ty Simpson is he looked like Jalen Milroe throwing the ball, but he can't run like Jalen Milroe. So I'm really worried about being up trenches, but I'm still not giving Florida. I'm waiting to fade Florida State. I don't have them in my top 10. I have them in the 20s because I was low on them, but I upgraded them a lot. But how do you know that you're improperly valuing Alabama by raising Florida State that much? I mean, I did a good medium job on them. It was probably one of my biggest power ratings, but dude, I'm looking to fade Florida State now. And you can say the same thing about Miami. I did love the way they played in their trenches. And wow, is it Kadarius Toney? That kid's a beast over catching those.
Kadarius is a Gator.
Okay, so
Tony.
Yeah. He was. Well, I have to look. I forgot his last name's Tony, and he was a short little 17-year-old freshman catching balls from Carson Beck, and he looked great. But Malachi Tony, yeah, and I wonder if he's related to your Florida dude. I don't know, but
I think Kadarius is from the Mobile, Alabama area, so I kind of doubt it.
Okay,
but I don't know. I don't know though.
Yeah, who knows? But I will say that I think that's going to be a big overreaction, but you can't fade them in like week 2. I think, maybe some losers are some overreactions. It's funny. It's not like, I'm running to fade Texas right now. I mean, they're a 36, 37 point favorite against San Jose State or something right now. But, it's not like the market is jumping all over that. What do you think about some overreactions that could come this week?
Yeah, throwing FSU into the top 15 is a little much. I think I had them 45 preseason. I got them 24 now. Although I will say that Castellanos really matches the kind of skill set that Gus Malzahn thrives at, calling plays. So they may end up being really good. We'll see. And then you just mentioned it. I would not overreact to the Texas loss, and I wouldn't overreact to the Ohio State win because they have issues offensively. I have Texas. I dropped them from 2 to 4, and I bumped Ohio State to 2. I think I had them 4. I can't remember. Yeah, I think I had Oregon 3 and them 4 preseason. So right now my top 5 is Georgia 1, Ohio State 2, LSU 3, Texas 4, Oregon 5, and you want me to go to my whole top 10?
Sure.
Penn State 6, Miami 7, Notre Dame 8, Clemson 9, Florida 10. I only dropped Bama to 13, but maybe I should.
Huh? There's Florida hanging out at 10.
There's Florida.
I didn't see too many power ratings with Penn State that low and Florida that high, but here's the thing. I do have Florida higher than the market myself, and I'm very interested in this South Florida game after South Florida beat Boise State, but this line at 17.5 is telling you, how that was a bit fugazi. I will say Boise State kind of beat themselves in some ways too. They were able to put on some yards on South Florida. They actually outgained them, but will say South Florida was in a little bit of a prevent type situation in the fourth quarter, but at the same time, South Florida is a solid team. This game's going to tell us a lot about both teams, I think. And we can get into that game a little bit later when we get into our hodgepodge. But I think Ohio State. See, I had them at number one. I'm keeping them at number one until I see differently, and that hasn't changed since last year when they won the national championship. I don't think that their quarterback did great, but I think that they played against just great defenses. What would have Nussmeier done against them? I just don't know. And I think, obviously that's why rankings are a little bit silly this early, because even statistics wise, you're going to see Texas looking terrible in statistics. You're going to see, some of those teams, Clemson looking terrible in statistics compared. But when you're playing the top teams, that's all going to change. So keep that in mind, that you're not going to get any real good numbers until week 4, week 5. If there's any shows out there talking about stats after last week, forget them, man. Yeah, it's still kind of what we thought in the preseason here. But underreactions, I think that Northwestern is that bad. Maybe I think maybe people should react to that a little bit more. Another underreaction is, holy cow, Cal is way better than I thought. And the story on Cal was they're supposed to be terrible, and freaking their coach was supposed to be in the fight with the GM, and all of a sudden they just blow out Oregon State and look great. So I think,
I heard the freshman quarterback. I hear the freshman quarterback looked really good. I cannot pronounce his name, but I hear he looked fantastic.
Yeah, I think we call him KSF or something. What's his name again?
JKS.
JKS. Yeah,
Okay,
JKS. So, I tried. I destroyed his name earlier on the show, but Segapolu Telly.
Right?
It's going to take as long as Uyunglele on this one,
right?
I think, for me to figure this one out, my friend. But no, this was another one as well. But
another tough one that I eventually learned to pronounce and spell is now at San Jose State, Ken Nui Matalolo.
Nui Matalolo, yeah, when he had key coach for Navy for a while too. So
a long time.
That helped me. I figured it out after a while. Speaking of group of 5, which group of 5 now makes the playoffs, Brian?
Good question. Well, Tulane was looked pretty solid. I was disappointed in how Toledo played. MAC team's not going to make it anyway. I'm trying to think AAC. Now, South Florida obviously had a good performance, but they'll take a step back this weekend, I hope and think. Let's see. I didn't see any of Memphis, and I know they have a ton of new pieces. I'm interested to see them against Arkansas in week 4. And I guess we can't rule Navy out yet, right?
Navy's my pick, 10-1 to make.
Oh, they are. They are your pick. Okay,
they're my pick. I think you got to go in the American now. Now that Boise State did that, you have to assume Boise State's going to lose to Notre Dame, and then you have to look into the American Conference. And one team that stuck out to me is Navy, because for one, they avoid Tulane until maybe the championship game. They avoid UTSA. Tulane goes to UTSA. Now, they do go to Memphis, but I'm not sure how good Memphis is yet. They replaced a ton of dudes.
A lot.
And so I figure instead of betting Navy at 3-1 to win the American, I'd just rather bet them at 10-1, because I think it deserves to come out of this conference. As a matter of fact, if it wasn't for Utah and a couple of those teams in the Big 12, I would say the American is probably right with that conference. Even the ACC, a little bit better at football. I mean, you saw it with Tulane. UTSA really gave Texas A&M a run for their money in the beginning of that game through the third quarter.
Yeah, I saw a Texas A&M friend of mine at the bar while I was watching South Carolina. She was not happy with her Aggies. Another G5 team to keep an eye on, and we'll get to check them out Friday and learn a lot more about them, is James Madison at Louisville. So we'll see how that one goes for them.
Bobby Newport's like, I think the local pub missed on Simpson as well, my man. Yeah, we all missed on Simpson. Family members, that's I don't go by family members, but yeah, I looks like Bobby had a rough week too. Notre Dame, Clemson, Texas. Yeah, Texas, a lot of money came in on Texas towards the end of that. So yeah, Ohio State's still a little sus, I will say, because Julian's saying, I'm just saying, we didn't say anything yet, right? But I think saying, we don't know enough about him, and now, yeah, Bobby agrees. Cal's got a quarterback. It's gonna be fun, man. It's gonna be fun. I think that conference play is gonna be great. The problem with LSU, and I do like them a little bit at plus 550 to win in the SEC. They have a tough schedule too. They got to go to Alabama. They got to go to another pretty prominent team. They get Texas A&M at home. They got Florida coming up on deck. That's going to be a big one too. So I think just lots to discuss, Bobby, and lots to go through here. So thanks for chiming in. Bobby always comes on in and brings it. So yeah, maybe for me at the 10-1, just because they did return a ton of offense and they were great at the end of the year last year. They did get blown out by Tulane. So I tell you this, if they come in with one loss or no losses and they're ahead of Boise State, then I can hedge that 10-1 against Tulane in the conference championship game. Because that would be, I mean, I have to know they're making the playoff though if they win.
Yeah. So listen, so my accounts are always very all over the place with their future odds, and they're usually not as generous as they are out in Vegas or what have you. But there were two exceptions for me this summer. I got two wild lines or numbers to win the CFP. I got the Gators at 61-1 when they were like 40 or 35 everywhere else, and I got LSU 21-1 instead of like 13-15. Um, or they might have been. This was like maybe June. They might have been a little higher back in June. But I remember looking a week or two ago, and LSU was only 13-1 at FanDuel to win the CFP. So I'm thrilled to have them at 21-1.
Well, there you go. I mean, that's great prices. Absolutely. I think Florida showed really well their first game. Now they didn't play anybody yet. So this is going to tell us a little bit more this weekend. But why don't we get into our 6-pack of games then, Mr. Edwards? You picked a very interesting one with a very, very stinky line. This Illinois versus Duke. Duke plus 349.5. If Illinois is supposed to be the freaking, sneaky team to make the playoffs, the Nebraska from last year, what the hell are they doing only plus 3 at Duke this week? Now Duke had a rough game last week, but Murphy, their quarterback, did pretty well. Just couldn't punch it in a lot. Plus 3. This line stinks. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I like Illinois laying the 3. So they've only been road favorites 3 times under Brett Bielema, but 3-0 against the spread. Now Duke's 2-0 against the spread with 1 outright win and only 2 home dog spots under Diaz. But I mean, this is not Cameron Indoor Stadium. It's not like Duke has this. Now they have played very well at home, but they've played very well at home or away the last couple of years, or even at the start of Elko. The last 3 years have been outstanding for Duke. But it's not like Illinois is walking into a hornet's nest in terms of crowd noise and all those sorts of factors, especially considering where they go in Big Ten play. Illinois is now on a 5-game winning streak, and they have won 12 of their last 15. And Luke Altmaier, in his last 16 starts, he has a 30-7 TDINT ratio. I know Illinois played an FCS opponent, but very impressive, 52-3. And Altmaier seemed to pick up where he left off last year. I made Illinois 4.5. I will lay the 3 with the Illini.
My power ratings have a 3.5. So, I mean, from that perspective, I see that play. And I guess I would lean by it because I did study these teams a little bit more than others. But I will say it's just a weird line, just because I feel like Illinois was supposed to be kind of the public team to come in. And, they might come in and just beat the crap out of Duke, but I have no sample on who Illinois played last week. Was it Illinois State or something like that?
I think it's Western Illinois.
Even worse, Western Illinois. And then Duke had a little bit of struggle here. I'm too close to the spread myself on my number, but I will say that I do lean Illinois, and I don't see why Illinois shouldn't beat them by more than 3 points. But here we are. But thinking about Brett Bielema too. Oh, I'm sorry. I have Illinois by 6 points. I don't have them by 3. I 3.5. I have them by 6 points. Okay. So I do lean with you. I'm just a little concerned about, Bielema will run the clock out and not necessarily try to blow him out if he has to. So we'll see. I'll lean Illinois with you. Let's go to the next game, and I picked this one, and this is Bowling Green versus Cincinnati. I put this at 21. I'm kind of bummed to see it on DraftKings at 21.5. I think if you search a little bit, you can find it at 21 again. I admit that I did take it at 20.5 before the bump. Totals 46.5. I like betting on teams that lost a tough game the week before, especially when it's week 1. They played Nebraska pretty tough. They got outgained a little bit, but this was the first game for Cincinnati, and it was a tough environment because you had way more Nebraska fans over there in Kansas City than you did have Cincinnati fans. But I like getting on these teams, and Bowling Green is not a good team at all. The way they played Lafayette didn't look good. The Falcons, they rank 130th in returning production, 130th. That's 6 worse or 6 better than the worst team for returning production. There's 136 teams. Eddie George could turn out to be a good guy, good football coach. He's not ready to face a Power 4 team. The Bearcats ranked 22nd in returning production from last year. Brendan Sorsby is a solid quarterback. Last season, 64%, 18-7. Better dudes coming in. I think this is a spot where Cincinnati names their score and feels good. So I'll lay the 21 points.
All right, I will go. My next one is Mizzou still 6
like
at most
I'm
books
having
to
a
Kansas.
little. One of us is having a little bit of internet, so it's I'm back now. It looks like one of might have been my internet. I was just saying I laid the 21 with Cincinnati.
Yeah. So I'm gonna go Kansas at Missouri. I see a few books have upticked to 6.5. I got it at 6, and excuse me. Missouri is now on a serious roll at home. They've got 11-game winning streak at home. Now I know that, and then they've won 17 of their last 18 at home, and the only loss was when Jaden Daniels and LSU had that massive comeback when they had them pinned deep and had a 4-point lead with like 2.5 minutes left, and then LSU kind of got a fluky a scoop and score, a pick 6 to make it a 49-39 game. But that's the only game Missouri's lost in their last 18 at home. Now, I know that does not matter because we got to win by 7, but in the 11-game winning streak, Missouri has won 7 of those 11 by 7 or more. Now, KU did get some good injury news last week. They had 3 starters miss the opener in week 0 against Fresno. One of them was Dean Miller, their first team All Big 12 defensive end, who had 9.5 TFLs and 6 last year, but he returned against Wagner, had a tackle. And another one's their starting corner, DJ Graham, a Utah State transfer, did not play against Fresno, but returned last week, had 3 tackles. And Bryson Canty, a wide receiver, was first team All Ivy with Columbia last year. Didn't play in the opener, but had 2 catches, 42 yards last week. So that was good news. And LaShawn Williams, the transfer running back from Iowa, who had a big game against Fresno, missed last week. Leipold said that he thinks he'll be ready by Saturday. He said that after Monday's practice. So that's good for Kansas. And Kansas lost their top 7 pass catchers. So it's been impressive that Jalen Daniels has an 80% completion percentage. And it also helps KU or bodes or makes them look a little better that Fresno absolutely blasted Georgia Southern 42-14.
Right? I mean, a lot of people are fading Fresno after this first game. This is like kind of like the overreaction that we're talking about, in these situations. And all of a sudden that, they Kansas looks okay against Wagner, but Fresno blows out their next team. It's like, well, Fresno's decent. They're taking money right now for their next week. I'm wondering how good this Kansas team really is.
Right. And by the way, it's not on my radar, but just a tidbit. Georgia Southern did stay out west this week, and they've been training. Where is Oxnard, California, where the Cowboys do their training camp? That's where Georgia Southern has been all week, as they're at USC on Saturday. That's just info. I'm not involved in that game at all. But anyway,
the Clay Helton revenge game. Is that what you're talking about?
Clay Helton, the
revenge
California
game.
tour. He's on California tour. Did not start the first leg very well. But I just mentioned those things for KU, but I'm on Mizzou, and my biggest question mark on this team was the quarterback position. But Bo Prabula looked fantastic last week, 23 of 28, 283 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks, and he had 65 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns on 10 carries. Now, I know it was an FCS opponent, but I watched or I had it DVR'd and I watched a good bit of it Monday morning. He threw some pretty balls. He looked fast. He's big. So I am laying the 6 with Mizzou. And now that it's 6.5, I'll just go ahead and say I like it at 7 or fewer.
Kid I coached in middle school from Bobby that is on too deep at wide receiver at Kansas, getting Canty back helps. He says, that's cool, Bobby. Bobby, all about football over here. And yeah, maybe Jalen Daniels does come down to reality against an SECD on the road. I don't know. I'll tell you, I took 9.5 as soon as it opened on Sunday, and it shot down to 6. And then now
I didn't even know it opened. It opened 9.5. See, I made it 10. That sounds like the right number to me.
Okay, well, the books made it around your number then. My number's 5. So I'm still a little bit on the disagree, but here's the thing. When you have a low confidence in, look at the market on freaking Alabama. I think you do buy back sometimes, Brian, when you do have a low confidence in everybody's power rating, including yours. It's like, well, it's through a key number. Maybe you buy back on those like really low confidence plays. And I was considering buying back on Missouri a little bit. I think maybe more money comes in on Kansas. I'm going to watch this a little bit just because my number's 5 doesn't mean it's right. And I could middle if they win by 7. I do think Missouri's a tough atmosphere. Drinkwitz is a great coach, a great offensive mind. Leopold got through the first game, and maybe it was just bad look for Fresno, and they were just a much better team. That happens all the time. I'm at 6. I'm definitely not making a play. But I'll tell you this, I'm just going to sit here and watch it and see how the day is going, because there's a chance I could buy back if, I feel like there's a little bit of value on Missouri. Missouri did show pretty well, but now it's getting closer to 7. So that window's gone unless it comes back. So we'll see about that. Let's move on to the next game. I have Iowa versus Iowa State. Iowa State's -3 right now. Total is 41.5. This is starting to kind of form into like a better 3 now. It was kind of like 3.5, 3-ish, 3.5 juice to Iowa State. I don't know. Maybe I guess I did take Iowa plus the minus 105 at 3. Here's the thing. I love playing the dog here, Brian, in this game. Over the past 5 years, the dog's covered 4 times. This is a total of 41.5 that might even go down again. You know how these two teams know each other and they play each other. Lots of people get screwed up on Iowa. And the reason that is, Brian, they don't understand Kirk Ferentz. He doesn't pull out his playbook until this game. Right. He dumbs down the whole freaking first game against the FCS. I remember when they barely beat Utah State, and Utah State was supposed to be terrible. Everyone bet Iowa State. Iowa beats them flat out. This happens with Ferentz all the time. I'm fine with the 3. A 3.5 would have been great. Maybe before kickoff, it goes back to a better 3.5. I don't know, but I just know how this game goes. And you feel pretty good on the dog here. I don't know why Iowa State, after they got outgained by Kansas, if Kansas State didn't turn over the ball and beat themselves that first week, and I was on Iowa State plus 3.5 too, Brian. I got that dub too. I thought that would have been a closer game, and maybe Kansas State wins by 3. We still cover, but I just feel like Iowa State's getting a little bit too popular, in my opinion. I like Rocco Becht, but I like the way that Iowa knows this team a little bit more. I can't give the Clones 3 points for home field. There's going to be plenty of Iowa fans there too. Plenty of Hawkeyes. But I got these guys pretty close to equal. I took 3. No problem here.
The under is on a 17-3 run in this rivalry. Just FYI, I'm not. That's not necessarily an endorsement. We're butting heads on this one. I'm on Iowa State. I know Iowa dominated this rivalry for a long time. They've won 6 in a row, but Iowa State has gotten 2 of the last 3 outright. That is. Now, none of them were at home. In fact, so I guess Iowa's won every game in Ames for going back like 9 or 10 years,
right?
Or maybe longer. Let's see. Iowa's won 6 straight in Ames and 4 1-1 ATS. Nevertheless, I just like how Iowa State is playing. But you're right about Ferentz showing nothing, because I spent all summer hearing about Gronowski, and then I watched a little bit of highlights on him, and he is a big guy, and he does have a nice arm. But he was 8 of 15 for 44 yards. But that might have all been on purpose by parents. He might have said, "You are checked down, Charlie, this week. I don't want to put anything on film for Matt Campbell." So we'll see.
Mhm.
But I'm on Iowa State.
All right. Well, hey, it's good to butt heads and be honest because that's what we do here, and that's fair. Me and Brian will have a little text exchange afterwards. See who gets the street cred here, and so I love
Right?
it. That's great stuff. But Brian's got another game to talk about here. Vandy. Brian went to Pavia. Vandy at Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech's actually now the favorite, -1.5. I think they were kind of the favorite earlier too.
Yeah.
Total 47.5. Revenge game for Virginia Tech here.
Yep.
What do you like about this one?
I think Vandy's the better team. I made them -3. Now I know nobody probably made them -3, but I don't care. I'm way higher on Vandy than probably uh, at least most respectable people in America. I'm way higher on them, and I like that. I'll be the captain
Pavia.
of the Diego Pavia fan club all day long. So ever since this program altering, job saving stallion that is Diego Pavia joined the Vanderbilt Commodores, they are 8-6 straight up, 10-4 against the spread. They've been underdogs 10 times, 8-2 ATS with 5 outright wins. They've been road underdogs 4 times, 4-0 ATS, 2 outright wins at Kentucky and at Auburn. And I know Blacksburg, Lane Stadium at night, yada, yada. Diego Pavia has won at Jordan Hare at night with New Mexico State teammates. Um, he uh, he's played in big time environments, and he's not scared. This past week, he only played 2.5 quarters, 20 of 25, 275, 3 tutties, no picks, 44 rushing yards on 8 attempts. He's got the best tight end in America. He's got a new toy and this speedy track star transfer from D2, Trey Richardson, 5 catches, 74 yards. Vatek, well, look, so the line tells us it's going to be a close game, right? Under Brent Pry, the Hokies are an atrocious 1-12 straight up in 13 one possession games. Overall, whether favorite, underdog, neutral, home, whatever, they are 16-22 straight up, 18-20 against the spread under Brent Pry. He is on a boiling hot seat. I think Vandy is confident. They're healthy for the most part. Quincy Skinner, one of their better receivers, is questionable. Should know more about him today or tomorrow. But even if he can't go, I like Vandy to win outright.
Is Jerry Kill still lurking behind the scenes at Vandy? I think he
Yes.
is still a
Yes.
consultant over there, and he's his New Mexico State buddy. He's riding the Pavia train, and Pavia is just never going to retire. He's always going to be their quarterback for life. He'll find another way to sneak it in next year, right?
Hey, one last thing. Another good sign. Another good sign. 2 of Pavia's brothers got arrested Saturday night for disorderly conduct and drunkenly behavior. That's a good sign. That's a good sign.
That's
They're
a great
partying.
sign.
That's a great sign. They're putting down all the beers instead of Diego. Vandy wins outright.
Yeah, I think so too. Here's the thing. I have Vandy -2.5 for my power ratings. The thing that scares me is that it's a night game. Enter Sandman, Virginia Tech, revenge freaking game from next year. I think that Vandy just needs to jump them and keep going, kind of like how you saw like what Auburn did to Baylor. That kind of a feel like what Utah did to UCLA, and UCLA just kind of jump them and just never freaking lay off the gas, keep pounding those trenches and and Pavia is the first down king. I can see myself being on this, but you know what? I don't need to rush into it because I think more money can come in on Virginia Tech for Christ's sake. You have these
I've
like
been actually
ultra
surprised. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
contrarian guys. Well, you got these contrarian dudes. They'll be like, "Oh, you're overreacting for week 1. We have Virginia Tech." I mean, I'm cool being contrarian, but when it's like deadbeat coach like Pry, I don't think so, right?
Well, I like that I was surprised you had Vandy -2.5, and I was glad to hear that. And I agree with you. I almost didn't play it early in the week, thinking money would come in on Vatek. but it hadn't happened so far. But I'm not. Hey, it's only Wednesday, so we'll see.
Yeah, we still got time here. That's going to be a fun night game. Must watch TV with Pavia. I'm sure he's going to get a little cocky for everybody too. So I'm
Good.
excited. I'm excited for this game. The last game in our 6-pack before we go a little hodgepodge is Michigan versus Oklahoma. This is back down to 4.5. This thing flew up to 6.5. Totals 45.5. So I'm not gonna lie, I saw the 4.5 at FanDuel when it opened on Sunday. This was the only game that didn't go towards me. I got USC minus 24.5. That's at 28.5. I got some great line value this week,
Attaboy.
except for this one, because I don't know why it went up. I'm like, I don't get why Oklahoma is so freaking liked after what we saw from the SEC last weekend. Since Harbaugh, I've actually been a critic of Sharon Moore. I didn't think that, he's that good of a coach. I think he's a dead man walking at some point. I don't know when. But in saying that, Brett Venables a good coach? No, I don't. I think he's been a good coordinator at Clemson. I don't think he's a great coach. I must say, Bryce Underwood last game, he looked impressive to me. I don't know if you saw some of those calls and that freaking roughing the passer call where his face mask touched face mask on a tackle. I flipped my shit on that one. And then there was the next play. There was an incomplete pass called complete, and Sharon Moore doesn't challenge it, but didn't have the time. They just rushed. If you ever see a team rush up to the line, you better see that quick. And they do it to try to trick you too, but you better make sure somebody's looking, because if not, then you're freaking just missing out as being a good head coach. He didn't turn the ball over. Bryce Underwood, he's a big dude, 67% TD. I didn't watch a lot of Oklahoma, but the box score against a bad team like Illinois State, I mean, I'm not gonna take that into like consideration, my friend. John Mateer was a big transfer and a big name, but if you saw what he came from at Washington State, they played like an FCS schedule at Washington State last year. And once they play ranked teams, they're double-digit losers last year. Double digits with Mateer. Mateer got way too much freaking hype because people are bored in the summer. They don't have anything to talk about, and they try to hype up a team like Oklahoma. Bobby doesn't have a good read on this game, but my read is anything past a 3 is a play on Michigan. I actually have Michigan the better team. I love this play. I think Michigan keeps it close. That went outright. Michigan plus 5.
Yeah, I got to see more of Mateer and Underwood before I have a good feel for either one of them or either team. But I think both teams should be good this year. Oklahoma's schedule. I mean, if Oklahoma goes 7-5, they will that will be a borderline top 15 team in my mind if they can win 7
With that
with
schedule.
this schedule. So, but I got to see more of Underwood and Mateer. I didn't watch any of their games last week. I saw highlights of both. I was surprised Underwood didn't run much. I saw he was actually negative in rushing. I mean, I guess that could have been sacks, but because I know he can run and I know he's a dual threat type. Yeah, I got to see both these quarterbacks play. I don't like betting games when I'm not if I don't have a good read on the quarterbacks.
Oh, fair enough. I thought I did get a good enough read on one of them. I do have a good read on Mateer, in my opinion, so I'm fine with it. But I get it. I have plays waiting like that too, and that's the whole thing. Let's go a little hodgepodge, my friend. It's funny. I looked at that Maryland, Northern Illinois, and Maryland. I had the over against FAU and I lost. I did buy back a little bit at half because it was like 28 or 33-7. Well, it ended up being like 39 to something.
39-7.
Dude, I missed it by a few points. I had great line value, and it wasn't a full buyback. I was pissed, but FAU did score, put up some yards. But Maryland looked freaking impressive to me. I mean, I know they're going against FAU, but they look skilled on the offense, and I was shocked. And I don't think Northern Illinois is that good. My number is 21, but I'm trying to decide between a Northern Illinois team total under, or even though my number's a little bit higher than 17.5, I missed the 16.5. Do I still lay it with Maryland? I'm just telling you, it's something I'm contemplating. I'm scared to bet a total in case this is another blowout. But I don't think Northern Illinois is that good. If you looked at what they did last week, they struggled against a bad team too with Hammock there as coach. So I'm just saying that, I'm leaning this side, but I don't know. It's one of my hodgepodge ones since it's a Friday game.
Yeah, I saw some highlights of Maryland, and the freshman QB Malik Washington looked really good. And Loxley's he's married to him because that guy's either going to
Oh
save his
yeah.
job or he's going to be gone. So he's playing him early and often. I have no opinion on this one, brother. Hey, let me
Oh,
ask you this.
Northern Illinois beat Holy Cross. They beat Holy Cross 19-17.
Right.
Holy
Okay.
Cross, a
Right.
women's hockey college right there.
Does hodgepodge mean just grab any random game and talk about it?
Grab any random game. I usually like to start from the Fridays, but you go ahead because there's not much for Friday anyway. I just pretty much covered it. So go for it.
So I'm giving a lot of thought to Tulane -10 at South Alabama. First off, for those out west, that is not a very far journey. It's like 2 hour drive on the interstate, straight shot. Might even make it an hour 45 from New Orleans to Mobile as I'm trying to get to my South Alabama page because I know they were not very impressive last week. 38-21, but it was Morgan State. Yeah, they didn't cover. It was a 28 and a half point favorite. And Zach Pyron, the transfer from Georgia Tech, didn't even win the starting QB job. He started games for Georgia Tech when Haynes King's been banged up the last few years, but they went with Bishop Davenport instead. But Retzlaff looked like he had a good debut. I know Northwestern's not known for offense, but Tulane's defense obviously played well and got an easy cover and a 23-3 win. I don't think South Alabama's very good. I haven't played Tulane yet, but I may play them. Um, and yeah, definitely lean in their way. I'll definitely pick them in my contest if that game makes the 25 game cut.
Yeah, Tulane looked great last week, even with a new offensive line, new quarterback, new everything, right? So uh, they're road favorites against South Alabama. I don't know how good South Alabama is going to be this year. They're not supposed to be good. So I see what you're saying. I think my number's right at 10.5, actually, which is just right in line with the market. Quick going back, Bobby says FAU 6 interceptions. Yeah, this did make my misleading final score, but Maryland also baited those guys into interceptions. I watched the game and it was on one of my TVs and I was just pretty impressed. But it would be if I decide to play it, Bob, it'd be a play against also against Northern Illinois, who looked freaking terrible. Back to Hodgepodge. This Western Kentucky line with Toledo. Now Toledo's up to 7.5 here. Now they're up to 7.5 because they beat because they came back and covered against Kentucky's been really getting a lot of hate this year. That seems to be a little bit much now, in my opinion. Kind of point me towards Western Kentucky a little bit, Brian.
You know, as I was thinking about, see, when I don't do many teasers, I mostly do them in NFL, but I'll occasionally when I do teasers, I'm always looking for a home team favored by between 6 and 8.5 or 9, and just try to get them down to either pick them or just win by a field goal. And I did have the thought that Toledo I thought would be a good tease or money line parlay team. I didn't do it with Mizzou, but so I'm not disagreeing with you necessarily on the. I think Toledo
Well, my number
wins at
six.
home.
My number 6. But this just passed that. This was like 4.5 when it opened. You
Yeah,
know,
I just think Toledo probably wins the game outright, but that can be a cover for Western Kentucky. So I'm not trying to push back on you. Yeah, if you're number 6 and now it's through the key number to 7.5, maybe be patient. Maybe you get an 8. Actually, I see an 8 at one offshore right now.
there you go. There's an 8 right now. This thing. So somebody's coming in on Toledo. I don't see any injuries necessarily with Western Kentucky. Now they played a Sam Houston State team who sucks, and they did allow 24 points against Sam Houston State. So that's the thought. Maybe over is the play here, even though it's Toledo. It's a high total of 59.5. And so that's why you're seeing a more of a margin type situation. But what I do bet dogs and it's going to be a high scoring game. I kind of feel like Western Kentucky, could backdoor this at any point. So I put this down as a maybe, but this is why we go hodgepodge. Western Kentucky going to throw till the clock hits 0. That's true. That's true.
So the next one that I want to get into is, and I think you said something along these lines like 15 minutes ago, is that I don't really trust my numbers going into week 2. Certainly not like I'm going to be trusting them in mid late August. But I made Ole Miss 14, and what 10.5 at last look. They're at Kentucky, but there's a couple things that scare the hell out of me. Is one, I had Ole Miss for a lot last year. I think I had them team total over first half, game, the whole
You
shebang.
can't think about
And
that. That's what sunk cost,
right,
my friend.
yeah, I got to put that in the rearview mirror, right? But Mark Stoops went in there, and one of the reasons why I liked it is because it was a week after they led Georgia most of the game, and somehow ended up losing 13-12 to Georgia the week before. Talking about Kentucky, that is. And so now they were going on the road, and I was just thinking they would be in letdown mode after having a Herculean effort, but yet coming up short. Well, it was the exact opposite. And Mark Stoops designed one of his best game plans ever, and they executed it to perfection. They wanted to put pressure on Jackson Dart, make him feel their big D line. They did that. They wanted to run the ball, control the clock. They nearly doubled them. They were 39-45 to what does that make it? 15 in time of possession. Am I doing my math right? It was almost
Uh,
double time of possession. Yeah, I did
yeah,
my math
40,
right.
20.
39,
Almost like
45,
40,
and
40.
20.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, and they had more 2018 first down advantage, and I think Ole Miss might have had like 5 or 10 more yards or something like that. But that result scares me. But Kentucky lost a lot of dudes, and I know Ole Miss lost a lot of dudes, but this Austin Simmons kid is good, and it's a big revenge game for Lane. He's 9-3-1 against the spread. His last 13 as a road favorite. So I'm leaning Ole Miss. I haven't played it yet. Now I will also note that Stoops is 7-3 ATS his last 10 as a home underdog. I just don't think Kentucky's very good, and I think they got fortunate because I think Toledo played like ass last week and still got me a backdoor cover.
Right. I think more money's going to come in on the home dog here.
So
Maybe
wait it out. Get a
yeah,
9.5.
I think Kentucky's going to be a little bit of a public dog because of last year and everybody remembering. And if I remember that game right from last year, I feel like Ole Miss threw a few touchdowns that were called back for like holding too. I don't know if I'm
I
remembering
think
right.
that rings a bell. That rings a bell.
Yeah, I remember some crap like that. And
Kentucky also, because I had this game. That game was on SEC Network like 3 weeks ago in the morning, and I just kind of had it on while I did work. But I looked over when Ole Miss rallied and took the lead by 3. Kentucky had like a I don't know, 4th and 4 or 5 at their own 20, and they threw a bomb and hit it. And it ended up scoring to go back ahead.
dude, I am not going to touch that game. I am
I
not
hear
going
you.
to touch that game. I will say Wisconsin. I should mention Middle Tennessee State, Wisconsin. Wisconsin going to be playing with their backup quarterback, uh, O'Neill, Brian O'Neill, I believe his first name, because
Danny.
Danny O'Neill from San Diego State, because Billy Edwards is sitting waiting until Alabama, but this total's at 45.5. It opened 46.5. I almost took it. I was wondering, do I get a 47? But no, it went the other way. But I think I'm gonna still take it
Take
because
it over?
taking under. Well, now here's the
Oh,
thing. Middle
that's what
Tennessee
I thought you
State.
were gonna say.
Middle Tennessee State gave up, 34 points to Austin Peay. Whatever. Austin Peay probably was just having a great old time. And the thing about Wisconsin is they're going to slow this game down so much with this quarterback, and they're going to save their stuff for Alabama so much next week that they're going to be happy with a 17-0, something like that type game. And Wisconsin's defense is legit again. They played Miami, Ohio, but I
Yeah, but
think,
DeQuan Finn's an athlete. That was an
yeah,
impressive defensive
I
performance
thought it
last week.
was too. I think Wisconsin defensive team. Now, do I like the Middle Tennessee State team total under more? Probably. I probably like that, but there's not a lot of states. I can't bet unless I go secret places in Arizona. I'm not allowed to bet team total colleges, which sucks, and I hate that rule. But I unfortunately
Oh,
have that.
not because you've beaten them up. They just don't offer them.
They don't
Or
offer it, my friend.
oh, okay.
Team
I was
totals are.
hoping it was because you beat their ass
Oh,
and they
me
cut you
too.
off.
Yeah, well, I think I that's been some team totals and NFL props have been literally my best bets, dude. But Yeah, even 34-7 gets the job done according to Bobby here. So, this could be that. And with that quarterback, he's not that good. He sucked at San Diego State, and he's a backup for a reason. And he's going to come in, and they're going to shorten the game and get the hell out of Dodge. And so I'm still good with that under 45.5. But your team total, and I'll just do the math here. Right now is probably going to be around a maybe is it sound like 35-10? That's 25. Maybe like 38 to 7. No, that'd be too big of a spread then. Yeah, I think it's going to be around the 34 for Wisconsin, and then your team total is going to be closer to 10-11 points with Middle Tennessee State. But I kind of like that under too.
Hey, since you mentioned the governors of Austin P a moment ago, I thought I would share this stat, and I haven't seen a line on it because Georgia hosts Austin P. It's FBS, FCS. There might be one at FanDuel by now. Let me look here. Let's see. I'm not seeing one. But anyway, assuming that Georgia is going to be favored by more than 38, after the non-cover against Marshall last week during Kirby Smart's tenure, Georgia's 0-13-1 against the spread when favored by more than 38 points.
0-13-1. Holy smokes! Yeah, Georgia Kirby kind of like from like Nick Saban has not wanted to beat up the little teams, I guess.
Yeah.
Like put it to them. And
I think Saban's stat was more like 42 or more, but it was almost as bad. It was like 5-17 or something. It was bad because I don't know if it's a respect for the opposing coach thing or whatever. I don't know.
What sucks to see is these massive, like Stanford's an 18.5 point nighttime dog against BYU. It's like Stanford sucks.
Justified.
Oh, I know. It's like I think the San Diego State Washington State game might be more popular, but
plenty of seats available.
Yeah, plenty of seats available. You got Sam Houston at Hawaii. Hawaii's a suspect -7, and dude, Hawaii might not have their starting quarterback, but they're playing Sam Houston. I think that I did penalize them 4 points for not having their starting quarterback. I think 4 is probably worth it. They probably have somebody back there, but dude, I don't have with that 4 point penalize. I don't have this at 7. I have it closer to 2 or 3 if the quarterback doesn't play, but we don't know that yet. So I think like it's almost like a free roll to take Sam Houston here, but they suck too. I mean, they're bad. So that's just this hold your nose type nighttime game. I find it funny that Army's plus 17.5 at Kansas State.
Yeah,
I took Carleton plus 440 last week. I only took a half unit on him, but that was one of my shining moments.
Well, I mean, I want to take Army this weekend. I have not done it, but last week's result concerned me a little bit. But isn't Tarleton State like a top 15 team in the FCS or no?
Oh yeah, dude, they were fantastic. Yeah, last year, and I checked with Josh over at Step on the Duck. He follows a lot of FCS, and yeah, he said they're really good. And they had a bad travel spot because they only had 5 or 6 day rest. But I'm like, dude, they're thinking more about Army, the AAC championship, than Portland State last week, even though they blew out Portland State. Bobby likes Sam Houston a little bit. It looks like a little money line action for him. So yeah, at this number, I'll lean Army. They're going to shorten the game. Kansas State just beats themselves constantly with that quarterback, and I don't know, man. It's a little high for me. Even as much as I downgraded Army this year, I mean, 17.5 on an Army team that can punch you in the face. Actually, I'm pretty close to spread.
I'm a hard lean to Army. I'm not sure if I'll end up playing it. I'd love to get a little even more line movement in our favor, and then I probably would pull the trigger. Looks like it's settled at 17.5. Yeah, it's a Army lean for me.
What about LSU? Do they let down and let LA Tech score a little bit? I mean, 37.5. It's one of those situations where after that big Clemson win, do they care to like? And don't get me wrong, sometimes these teams accidentally cover these massive things, right? They just accidentally do it. But I almost feel like LA Tech could be like a play just because of the fact of the situation.
Well, yeah, no, I wouldn't play LSU because I mean it's between at Clemson and look ahead to Florida, and Kelly is just going to be worried about come mid third quarter. He's just going to be worried about getting these guys out of the game and healthy for next week. So it's pass for me, but I don't blame you for the La Tech thought process. I've got a good buddy who's a diehard La Tech and alum and all that. And I know they've kind of sucked here for a while, but they're supposed to be better this year.
They're
I
supposed to be
even,
better.
yeah. So yeah, I don't know, but I'm not going. I'm not going to try to talk you out of La Tech because if they can hang around and hold LSU to some field goals on some drives, it's not going to be a situation where LSU's looking to put the pedal to the metal late. I don't think.
Yeah, Bobby says he wishes it was 38 and a half. Absolutely. Key number of 38 when it's 31 to 38. Yeah, it's a field goal and a few touchdowns there, right? Yeah, I would like a 38 and a half myself. I think if we waited out, we might get it via game day because everyone and their mom is going to jump on
Do,
LSU's nuts.
do you think they'll
I
have a
think
lot? I mean, I know you could get it at half. Oh, you're saying pregame you think you'll get 38 and a
Yeah,
half.
I think because it's a 4:30 game
Okay.
on Pacific time, or
Yeah.
which is like 7:30 out in the East Coast. I think there's gonna be a lot of time for people to stick them in, and I just I
I
don't
was gonna
know.
say I don't know if they'll have a live line for that game if you were thinking of getting it live line, but you're talking about pregame.
Pregame for sure,
Yeah.
buddy. Yeah, live line would be really difficult. God, I'm also looking at Boston College a little bit plus 4.5 at Michigan State. I think Boston College is an improved team. I mean,
Oh man,
Michigan State is just you
I
know
uh I, I gotta see. I mean, two good coaches. I like both coaches. I just need to. I don't. That one's not on my radar. I need to see both of them play before I start betting on either one of them.
Let's move on to our next section in beer bet bangers. I already gave you mine. I'm taking Navy to win the American at 10 to 1. Or sorry, not to win the American, to make the playoffs at 10 to 1. To win the Americans like 3 or 4 to 1. I mean, I'm okay with that too, but I'm taking the long shot here. I want to see them make the play. This is to the point now where Boise messed it up, Buffalo messed it up, Ohio messed it up. They should have beat Rutgers. Who else? I think that there's going to be other teams messing up too, but a lot of those teams, Liberty didn't look great. I just think a lot of those teams just kind of shot their, and just can't now make the playoffs, and it's going to come out of the American. So that's my beer bet banger for this weekend, Brian.
Okay. So I was looking at Buffalo to win the MAC. I got it plus 550. It's plus 370 right now. I mean, I think.
Wow, it went down.
Uh,
Wow,
yeah.
that's weird. That's weird because
Um,
I mean they lost to Minnesota pretty convincingly, and Minnesota could have covered if they were freaking James
right.
Franklin, right? They would have easily covered if they were James Franklin.
Right. I'll go DJ Lagway 20 to 1 to win the Heisman. Does that count? It's just got to be something low
No,
shot,
it
right?
counts. Anything plus 100 or better really is a beer bet
Uh-huh.
banger. It just depends, if you like it or not, and you throw some beer money on it and you count it up at the end. I hit pretty good one, all one seeds to make the final four last year at 16 to 1 was the last one before last week. So yeah, I mean, a little beer money.
Gosh, I just don't think they're going to win enough games, but he had a great stat day last week, and I think he's so good, and I think he's going to have a monster year, but I just don't know if Arkansas is going to win enough games. But Talon Green at 150 to 1 is interesting for the Heisman because they got plenty of showcase games where he can show out, and if they were to somehow get to 8 wins, and he has monster numbers, which I think he will. Probably not going to. Hey, look, if you make 150 to 1 bet, it's going to lose. But maybe something to think about. Now I'm going to the national title odds. I mean, are you going to be able to get Notre Dame at better than 16 to 1? Um, CJ Carr is going to get better every week. I mean, it's just thought. I still think Notre Dame's a playoff team for sure in my mind. You?
Yeah, I mean they're a playoff team. They better beat A&M because here's the thing: with 10 wins, that's a suspect playoff team with the rest of their schedule. I mean, USC is the only other one that's going to try to give them a big win because they're playing a lot of ACC bad teams, And I think they need A&M now, Brian. They get him at home at least, and they probably get it. But at the same time, it's Carr, and he's still young. I mean, they could drop some games and screw it up.
They
Bobby
better
said,
hey, they better be careful when they go to Arkansas.
I don't like Arkansas at all. I think I took them under 5.5. I think that just, who cares if they beat who was it?
No, I hear you. And their
Arkansas.
defense is not going to be good, but Talon Green is a MFer.
Some people are on Arkansas State this week. I was looking at that, but I'm not completely sold on if I get a 24.5 or something, but not a 23.5. I was looking at Arkansas State, but I'm not there yet.
I can't bet Butch Jones ever again.
I know, Butch Jones, your buddy.
Not that I ever really bet him much, if at all.
Bet against him much.
Yeah,
you bet against him a lot when me and you were on this show 6 years ago when he was Tennessee's coach. That was fun ripping on Butch.
Yeah.
Remember we were begging for him to come back? Well, here he is.
I know.
Good stuff. Good stuff, bro. What else is good stuff is this man right here, Mr. Brian Edwards. This man is all over the radio in the United States, talking pigskin, talking college football. Where could our listeners and viewers get your great information and plays?
Okay, my content, Major Wager, my picks on Vegas Insider, my Twitter at egasBEdwards, and I also do a lot of videos on the YouTube channel Southeastern 16. Southeastern 1-6, like 16 teams, the Southeastern Conference. That's a YouTube channel. I have a 1-hour podcast weekly, and then I did video previews on Mizzou, Kansas, Florida USF, and Vandy Vatech that are up now on the Southeastern 16 YouTube channel.
Well, there you go. Those are a lot of places, and even more if you listen to some of those local SEC radio stations. My man Brian Edwards is everywhere. Make sure you guys check him out. Give him a follow at egasBEdwards if you haven't yet. Appreciate you, Brian. Thanks a lot again.
Thanks, brother. Enjoyed it as always. Good luck to you and the audience this weekend. Let's win some money.